there's more to this voiceover and speaking on the radio lark than perhaps you may have thought, which is why we're going headlong up to episode 1000 on this series of short daily podcasts. I call them Get a Better Broadcast Podcast and Voiceover Voice. Thank you for the loan of your ears today. From your ears to the mouth, that's what we're talking about. And the sibilant voice is our topic du jour, when a voice is perceived to have excessive S's. It may be because the microphone is picking up and exaggerating that particular frequency, or it may be something else. Now, this is really important because I really don't want anybody to criticise me and say, oh, you're trying to change someone's voice. You're trying to stop them having sibilance, or you're trying to stop them speaking in the way that they were born with, that makes them sound like them. Nothing could be further from the truth. I'm a great believer in your voice, as I've said many, many times, if you're a regular listener, that your voice is you. It is part of your personality. It's part of your heritage, your background, where you were brought up. It's part of your family, who brought you up, your values, all sorts of things. Your accent is part of your heritage, your history, the history of your people, whoever your people are, your tribe, your group, your family, your community, your workplace, your education, all sorts of things. It is really, really rich. And I'm not trying to change that in any way, shape or form. Why then, Peter, is your podcast called Get a Better Broadcast Podcast and Voiceover Voice? It's because you may personally want it. Someone else may have said, why don't you change this? You've agreed with them, but you don't know how. This is merely an offering. It is not a direction. I'm not telling you. It's a guide. It's a suggestion. All of these episodes. Yeah? So, sibilance. You got too many S's. Okay, I'll get off my hobby horse. Forgive me. Adjust the angle of the mic so you're not speaking directly into it. Yeah, that may help you overcome the sibilance. If it doesn't help, speak with an audio engineer or someone who may be able to suggest altering the input settings on your studio desk or workstation, because it may have been set up for somebody else's voice, how they speak, and you want it set up for you. Very often nowadays on desks, you can just press in a code and all of the settings will change for your voice. Yeah, someone has spent a lot of time working out the exact frequencies that the studio desk, all the filters, all the settings have to work with your voice. And once they've got it down to a T, as opposed to an S, once they've got it down to a T, punch that in, save it, and you have the code. And then when the next presenter comes in, or the next voiceover artist, they punch in the code, and that desk is automatically set up to give you the optimum sound for the way you speak, for the voice you were born with. Now, if you're recording audio, then you may be able to clean it up in post-production. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, many recorders have what's fantastically called a de-esser, which reduces the high frequencies of a sibilant sound. There are also specialist post-production programs, such as Auphonic. Details in the show notes, which will be able to help you. But be really careful if you use any of these plugins, that you don't change too many settings so your voice becomes unrecognisable. You may want to consider changing your microphone. Really? Yeah, different makes and models and pickup areas cope differently with different voices. You just may sound different on the mic. Now, the mic I use, I think I'm really, really lucky, works really, really well, I think, hope you agree, with my voice. Or it may be an issue with your own vocal production. So nothing about necessarily your voice, but something that has happened internally to your mouth, in your gob, poorly fitting false teeth, a pierced tongue, a tooth gap. All of our mouth furniture, if you want to call it that, is slightly different in its shape and size and place. Teeth, tongue, where we place them in relation to each other. I looked at this in episode 101. Yeah? So if you want to know more about what I'm talking about there with your mouth furniture, episode 101 is the one for you. we make the S sound differently. So, say sizzling sausages and feel where the tip of your tongue is. Is it curling up or down or somewhere flatter? We make the sound in different ways just through culture and learning. Kind of goes back to what I was talking about at the top of the episode. Sometimes we make the sound because we weren't actually taught how to say it. We've just kind of tried to mimic our parents, those around us, our siblings, and maybe we just don't have it right. But it may be that if you try another way, curling down instead of up, or slightly flattening the tip of your tongue, it could increase or decrease the sibilance. The amount of air within the S may disappear, or the length of time that you make that sound for may reduce, and that may help as well. Episode 76 and 86 are really good ones. I'd recommend you catch up with those on this. So there are lots of small changes that you may be able to make, and if you're worried or need more help or advice, I obviously can't help you remotely. See a trained speech trainer or work with somebody individually, speech therapist, speech trainer, something like that, voice expert. And also, I've got a couple more topics, a couple more episodes on this topic for you as well. 545 557 will see you right for more on the topic of sibilance. Tomorrow, the sing-song delivery. Yeah, you may have heard people talk about this before. Not entirely sure what it is? I'll set you right tomorrow as Get a Better Broadcast podcast and Voice over Voice continues. From London, I'm Peter Stewart.